returns fully. I just want to start by saying thank you to all of you for being here. I'm really grateful for your giving your time and your energy to this meeting. Your being here says a lot about your faithfulness and your commitment to the ministry of the church. So how exactly do we report on 2020? It was not the year that we expected. There's lots of words that people use to describe 2020. They are words that I am, and I'm guessing you are pretty tired of hearing, things like unprecedented and unexpected and pivot and adapt and things like that. These are all, of course, true. There are also, though, other words that I think we could add into the mix based on the things that I've seen this year. Words like faithful, grace-filled, sacrificial, compassionate, and loved. When I think of 2020, I think of these words because these are all things that I have seen and witnessed this past year. I've witnessed our congregation step up in so many deep and meaningful ways. You have all understood that there are things that we have had to do, things that we didn't necessarily want to do, but yet things that have been important. Everything from wearing masks to social distancing to participating in worship in new ways. Now for Trinity, your faith has remained an important part of your lives. I even would say that our faith in Jesus has been what has helped see us through these difficult days. And I've seen that again in lots of different ways. Worship attendance actually has gone up this past year. We've continued to provide food for people in need as well as clothing and shelter. Young people and families have participated in faith formation in new ways. Actually, Chris Swanson tells me that attendance in confirmation has actually increased. Almost every week in worship I say it, and I really, really mean it. Thank you for being the church wherever you are. Now, when we look back on this year, we've learned something important about the role our Christian faith plays in our lives here at church, but even more importantly, at school or at work or wherever we go. So I just want to spend a little time thinking about our ministry this past year. And then I want to think together about the year to come. I'm going to start off just thinking about finances because that's kind of on our mind, especially at an annual meeting when we're talking budget and those things. Now, Barb is going to give a much more comprehensive overview of our finances from this past year. So I'm just going to touch on this. Let me just say that we are very grateful for the congregation's faithfulness and for God's faithfulness. Now, a year ago, I loved our original 2020 budget because it was very forward thinking and it was very hopeful. We had big dreams. In April or May, it became apparent to us, however, that the impact of the COVID pandemic was going to affect us, just like it's affected just about every other church in the world, and our income would be affected, and our giving would not meet our original hopes. Now, this was not a surprise. With no offering plate to pass, our non-pledged income was coming in much lower than projected, so we reorganized and reprioritized. And the Finance Commission recommended and the Council approved a revised budget that was more in line with what we believed our actual income would be. And so some of our long-range plans, we moved from starting in 2020 to 2021. We also applied for a PPP forgivable loan and our staff was extremely careful with expenses. I'm really grateful for how they handled our budget. Now you'll notice when you look at the reports, when you hear from Barb, that because of this, we're carrying forward from 2020 to 2021 a healthy balance. Our 2021 budget is pretty conservative from an income standpoint, and we're going to use about a third of that cash forward from 2020 to balance the budget and fund our strategic plans, and 2/3 will go into a reserve rainy day fund. You'll hear more again about that when we talk about the 2021 budget. Now, this year in the annual report, you'll notice something new and different as well. Now, we have our normal traditional line-by-line budget, which we will approve today, and that can be found on page 6 of the annual report. But also on pages 8 and 9, we have added a narrative budget. Now, this is a different way of looking at our budget. It tells the story of our ministry. It recategorizes our budget into actual areas of ministry. So it takes everything, for example, that we spend on worship, music, and the arts, including staff time. We percentaged out part of the pastor's salaries and the staff salaries that work in worship, and we put that all into that category. The same for our facilities and community care and our support systems and the other areas of the budget. Now, we created this just to help tell the story and as an educational piece. It helps us understand what we really spend in each area, and it can be a helpful tool. I encourage you, when you get a chance, to look through it. I'm very grateful for the wisdom of the Finance Commission and for Barb and Tanya's great stewardship of our financial resources as well. Now, worship is at the heart of what any church does. That's the center of our faith. This past year was an interesting one from a worship perspective. In the space of just 7 days, we had to learn how to do online worship. And I am so thankful for Trinity's worship leadership and for our technical team. Overall, it's gone really very well. We've learned a lot. Now, there's a widely accepted formula for how large churches can calculate worship attendance online. And interestingly, our worship attendance has increased from last year to this year. I think that's because worship is one of the ways people have remained connected during a time of intentional separation. Now, we are working on some new creative ways to kind of up our game in terms of online worship. And while we are returning to in-person gradually, our online presence, and now the addition of being on the radio every Sunday morning, will continue and will hopefully grow. Now, the pandemic has forced Trinity to have to innovate and do some new kinds of things. We learned a lot by sending out the Christmas boxes with the communion elements and the candles and the devotionals this year before the Christmas Eve services. The feedback we got was that people really appreciated feeling connected. We've created new ways of doing Sunday school that now involves the whole family. Confirmation is on Zoom, and we're pre-recording and releasing lessons on a schedule. We're going to relaunch some adult education initiatives very soon as well. And our food ministry has shifted to both pickup and in some cases, delivery. Lenten Wednesday night suppers will be back. Yes. And Wildcat and Husky Pantry and Meals of Hope never missed a beat. Again, Wednesday nights we'll be doing, at this point, we'll be doing pickup and carry out like we did for lunch today, but we're moving forward and we're excited for that. Our people, all of you, have been really creative in how we serve and care. And as a pastor, I could not be prouder of how this church has responded. Thanks to you all. I want to think about the upcoming year, 2021, for a moment. We just reinitiated in-person worship this morning. We started small, just the 8:15 a.m. service. And with a 20 below zero temperature, it was small. There were a few folks that, I think 45 or 46 that came out, they're hearty souls, but we're excited to kind of move forward with that. We want to do this, but we want to continue to do it very carefully. Our first priority is always going to be safety, the welfare, and the care of our people. So we're going to continue with the 8:15 service here. Live streaming will continue at 9:30 a.m. And then our next step will be the addition of a 10:45 service once the worship attendance begins to warrant it, and we will keep moving from there. Now, with a permanent online worship presence, I actually don't know if in a year from now, when we're past the pandemic, we will be back to 4 services. We're going to always have a percentage of people now watching online, and how that affects our in-person attendance. We're going to need to evaluate and see what we want to do in terms of our worship schedule moving forward. It opens up some new opportunities for us. Now, another area that we really want to spend some time thinking about are our 3 strategic initiatives that we really want to get moving on now that we're into this new year. Now, the first relates to helping people find meaning through dynamic faith formation. Now, Deacon Chris has taken the lead on this. I'm going to ask Deacon Chris to share briefly about what is coming in this area. So Deacon Chris, maybe if you could unmute yourself and share
I'm ready to go.
What's going on, that would be wonderful.
Yep. Thank you, Todd. Just a couple of minutes. I want to share a little bit about our process with dynamic faith formation. That is the strategic vision that I was able and blessed to work with last year. Our main charge for that strategic vision was Trinity will welcome and engage through dynamic faith formation. After some amazing 2 in-person and the rest were Zoom meetings, we came up with a real thick, robust, and engaging sort of plan for our strategic dynamic faith formation. As Todd is sharing a picture right now, I'm going to just highlight a few things of the orange section on the bottom. As you can see on there, I did just say Trinity will provide dynamic faith formation. There's 3 main subcategories under there: Trinity will engage in courageous conversations, create experiential learning opportunities to put faith into practice, and develop engaging learning opportunities for all. So because of a lot of reasons, of course, mainly the pandemic, there are certain areas, of course, that we haven't been able to dive into, but there's others that we were able to dive into quite quickly. And of course, one of them, as you can see, is the developing digital ministries. Todd did touch on how we have seen some successes in how we have turned some of our big programs online, one of them being Family Faith Formation, which encompasses Trinity U, as well as our Sunday morning programs. And that is a curriculum that the CYF team creates every week. We're creating video resources each week with the help of Amy Baker, who posts them online every Sunday morning. We have events, we've mailed out packages, we've had drive-through events where families come and pick up their resources each month. But those videos are intended for an adult to work with a child of any age between 0 and 18. So that is a real wonderful way, and something that we were able to dive into, and the CYF team really did a great job coming together and creating those resources. And we've committed to that throughout the school year. As Todd also noted, Chris Swanson has been working with our confirmation program on Wednesday night, and we've seen some good success with our confirmation Zoom groups, which we've also committed to for the rest of the school year. That has been wonderful as well. Other things in our program for dynamic faith formation, we've had to pivot as well. Milestone Ministry, VBS was reshaped online this year. Kate and Chris were doing online as well as in-person mission trip opportunities. So when you look at those bubbles on this strategic vision, there are areas that we have started to work into. So there's a lot going on for dynamic faith formation that we have already done, but we're really excited to see where it will go in the months to come. But thank you so much for your partnership with this, your willingness to be open in what these different programs look like, because I really feel like our CYF team has done an amazing job stepping into and reaching out to our families during this pandemic time in the area of faith formation.
Thanks, Chris. I'm really looking forward to seeing this continue to develop. Now, the second area of our strategic plan that we're going to pour ourselves into this year is about serving and caring for people who've been broken by life circumstances. Now, there's a lot that goes into this, but one of the first and most important things that you'll see happening almost right away this month, actually after we pass our budget today, is a new partnership Trinity is developing. We're kind of forming Trinity Counseling, which is a partnership with Lutheran Social Service. And Pastor Amanda has taken the lead on this project. Pastor Amanda, would you be willing to unmute yourself and share a little bit about this?
Yes, I am ready. So the vision team set out last year and put together a plan, and we're able to implement the first part of that plan right away. This part of the plan will be the part of creating places for people to get counseling and accompany people as they seek systems of support. We recognize that there is a growing and a critical need for quality mental health care in Owatonna. Not to say that we don't have good health care or good mental health care. We just don't have enough right now. And so we will be launching the first part of our plan to include this partnership with LSS. They will be offering counseling and mental health services right here at Trinity. Next slide. Todd.
Yep, it's up.
Next. Oh, good. Okay. So part of the what you're seeing right here. Oh, that's not. Could you go to the next one?
The next one is the video. Did you want that?
Oh, I thought this one was the video. I'm sorry. Okay. So
you want me to go
part of the.
You want me to jump to ahead and come
No,
back?
that's okay. No, that's okay. So within our webpage, when you go to our webpage now on Trinity, you're going to see the different services that LSS offer: behavioral health, early childhood, veteran services, easy clicks that will give you information right there on, okay, there, okay. They're the easily clicked pieces there: behavioral health, early childhood, and veterans programs. And right now, because of COVID, all of the counseling will be done by telehealth, and there's an explanation of how the telehealth will work. And as soon as it is safe, we will have a counselor on site. We'll be using the space up next to the library upstairs for these counseling services. And so if we go back, Todd, you'll see a picture of Jackie Wood. She is a licensed professional clinical counselor with LSS, and she will be working with us. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Coming.
Hi, my name is Jackie Wood. I'm a licensed therapist with Lutheran Social Service. I provide therapy to individuals, families, couples, children. And if you're in need, or if you know anyone else in need of services or wanting to start therapy, please feel free to reach out. We're excited for this partnership with Trinity, and we're here to help.
So just like she said, if you or someone you know is currently going through a difficult transition, struggling in relationships, depression, anxiety, working through trauma, or in need of a listening ear, we hope that you will consider this and see if it will be appropriate for you. So right on the webpage, there's a place that says how to get started. Beginning tomorrow after the budget, if you are interested, you can start looking towards scheduling an appointment, and Jackie is our gal. And so she's our contact. You can contact Jackie directly at her email right there. And she will guide you through the process and talk about what you're looking for and decide on an appointment. And most likely she will be the counselor working with you, unless you determine with her that there is someone else who would be more appropriate. After you're in touch with her, the LSS staff will be in reach. Will reach out to you to set up your appointment and get any information that they need from you as well, any of the intake paperwork. And we want people to know that cost will not be a barrier for us in providing these services during this time. So LSS will work with you on costs. We do not want you to think that whatever your financial situation is, that it would preclude you from getting the mental health care that you need. And like I said, we recognize that we have wonderful resources in town, but we also know that right now the system is overwhelmed. It actually, we've been in a mental health crisis before COVID, and it's just been exacerbated. So we are thrilled to be able to offer some additional resources at this time. We will be advertising throughout the entire community. Right at the beginning, the cost of Trinity for this partnership, there won't be any initial cost because everything is done telehealth. But then once we go to in-person, we will be responsible for the hours that the counselor is on site without any clients, but we have made use of those hours. We will be using these hours for mental health trainings for staff and different ministry groups. So we're excited. We're actually thrilled. This is a big deal, and I think it's needed. And I'm just really excited to be working with a trusted agency like Lutheran Social Services.
Thanks, Pastor Amanda. People got questions about either Pastor Amanda or Deacon Chris's stuff at the end. After the financial stuff, we'll have opportunities to ask questions as well. Now, the third area of the strategic plan we're working on is reaching out and caring for those on the margins. Trinity's always had a good history of doing this. Historically, we've provided support. It's been mostly financial, but we're really looking for even more hands-on ways that we can serve those in need. Now, when the pandemic hit, this was an area that we figured we would probably delay, as it was kind of the biggest ticket item financially, and we just wanted to be cautious. However, God had other plans. As you probably know, Beds for Kids is an independent nonprofit organization that provides beds for children in need. Over 10 years, they've had a powerful impact on children in our community. They have delivered over 150 beds per year to kids who, up until then, have probably been sleeping on the floor or maybe on a couch. Now, this year, their board of directors approached us and asked if Trinity would consider taking over their ministry. They wanted to step back and they didn't have a mechanism for sustainability. And so Trinity is stepping into that role. And this will be the way that we can really initially immerse ourselves in this important work. We will begin delivering beds in the middle of February, and we will need lots of volunteers to serve. Our goal is to eventually be doing bed deliveries twice a week, on Saturdays and then again on a weeknight. And we'll be inviting other congregations then to join us in this work. You can get more information about this at tlcowatonna.org/beds4kids. Right now, Elizabeth Maylow, who's on the Trinity staff, has been coordinating this giant project and has been doing phenomenal work. If you have questions, I encourage you to contact her directly by email or by phone. And this is just the first step. Yes.
Todd, can I say that beds were delivered last Tuesday and beds are going out this Tuesday?
Sweet. Nice. Very fun.
Okay. You were busy last Tuesday.
I was tied up. Yeah, exactly. So this is the first step of finding direct ways to serve with those on the margins. There is lots more need, and we're going to work on other ways as well. The idea of the Community Resource Center to connect with and track and support people in need is in our future. And I think eventually all of our outreach ministries are going to fit under this umbrella. And that's just one of the ways that we will continue to be for Owatonna in the future. Now, this past year, we also did some identity and rebranding work. We're going to be moving ahead with that this year on the Trinity Nursery School. This includes a new name and logo. It will be known as the Trinity Preschool, which makes it actually easier for people to find in an online search. And it's got a new logo that we're very excited about. We know that we have a fantastic staff and programs. I'm so grateful for the teachers and for Brenda, our administrator. And we're going to continue to work to grow the enrollment of the school. We're excited to grow this program and to share learning, laughter, and love that is rooted in the love of Jesus. There's one other project coming up that I need to mention that I'm pretty excited about. We have been served well and faithfully for many years by our church's minibus. Our bus, the one with the wheelchair lift, has transported countless people to worship on Sunday mornings. It has carried countless people to Meals of Hope on Sunday night. We've used it for events and retreats and so much more. And now it is time for us to replace it. The bus has some mechanical issues. It's close to being on its last legs, or I guess wheels, you'd say. It's getting much more expensive to fix and repair. It's time for us to think seriously about getting a new one. So in March, we're going to launch a short-term fundraising program to replace this bus. Our goal is to have a new bus on our site by the end of May or beginning of June. And we have some seed money in our budget to go towards this effort, and the Trinity Foundation has partnered with us. They're going to match the money raised by the congregation towards the purchase of this bus. What that means is that we as a church really only need to raise somewhere between probably $15,000 and $20,000, and we'll be able to replace our bus. And we're really grateful to the Trinity Foundation for partnering with us in this way. So watch for more information about this fundraising project, which is going to begin in March. Now, my final word today is a word of thanks. I want to thank our leadership. We have a fantastic congregational council. They are forward-thinking and they are focused on our mission. And they're always wondering what if, and they're always looking forward about how we can continue to grow and serve the community and how we can be for Owatonna and really for the world. And finally, I want to thank our staff. I've been in ministry now for something like 33 years, and this is all around probably the best staff I have worked with. They are committed and focused and innovative, and they are fun. I love coming to work with them every single day. As a congregation, we all owe them a word of deep thanks. When you see them around town or around church, please thank them for their great work. So 2020 was a year that we didn't expect, but in the midst of everything we didn't expect, we saw God at work. The promises that Jesus made to each of us are real, and we saw them lived out right here in our community. And I have complete faith, complete confidence that in the year to come, God will continue to be at work and will continue to be present with us, because that is what God does. Now, before we pause to take any questions, I want to invite Barb Howell, who's our fantastic Director of Finance,